What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about why Bitcoin could hit $100,000 again soon. We're going to be diving deep into the charts. We're going to be looking at some altcoin charts as well and see if a potential altcoin bounce back is coming soon, because that could be huge for the altcoin markets. Now, we are going to be taking a look into the Bitcoin charts first, because Bitcoin is the driver of the markets. If Bitcoin is actually able to bounce back, I would expect the altcoins to follow very shortly. Okay? So, why it's important to be paying attention to Bitcoin right now? Because Bitcoin is still consolidating within that range since it has dropped below the daily 200 SMA. We're going to be taking a deeper dive into that just right now. Now, I do want to mention that if you guys do want to have me do any TA requests, technical analysis requests on any altcoins, any coin in general, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment in the comment section below. I will pick a few every day to do technical analysis on for you guys. So make sure to drop your requests on what you guys want to see, and I will dive into the charts for you. Now let's take a look into Bitcoin and see what we are potentially dealing with here. Okay, Bitcoin on the hourly time frame still very important, because on the hourly time frame here, it has actually dropped. This was, just earlier this week, it had formed a bear flag, or a rising channel, has actually dropped below it, right? Price target for that breakdown of that bear flag is at about 81.5. Okay. Now, price action did break below that price. That pattern went down as far below as about 83,000. Now, quite a bit of short-term moving averages that are serving as support here, and we are seeing that right now because we're seeing quite a bit of a bounce. But I don't think this breakdown is over yet, unless Bitcoin can actually get an hourly candle close above 85,000. That is basically my opinion, not financial advice, right? And once Bitcoin can actually close above 85,000 with an hourly candle close, why would I say that is actually, that, that Bitcoin, this breakdown is over? It's because if we actually take a look here at the breakdown point, right, we can see that, once it got rejected at 85,000, that's when the price action started breaking down. So if we can actually reclaim 85,000 with a solid hourly candle, then I will consider this breakdown to be over, right? And then we could potentially see some upside from here, right? We did get some, small hourly candle closes above 85,000, but I'm not going to count that, because that is just way too, it's not solid enough, right? I want to see a solid candle close above the 85,000 price level. Now let's come over here to the let's also take a look into this bounce back here, right? Since price action has broken down and reached about 83,000, this bounce back here, we are still seeing higher highs and higher lows, right? And we are forming this we could potentially be forming this ascending triangle pattern. I'm saying potentially because we don't have a 3 candle wick touch here on the hourly time frame. Okay, so this is what I'm estimating that it could be forming. And if it actually does establish an ascending triangle pattern, that's a bullish pattern. And the price target out of this small pattern here is going to be about just right about 88,000. Okay. Now, that is important because we have quite a bit of resistance between 85,000 to 89,000, as I've been mentioning, right? It's because we're still at the daily 50 SMA here, and then the next one up is going to be the daily 200 SMA, very important resistance level, because that is the definition that's the divide between a bull market and a bear market. Okay, and we've been consolidating underneath it since we have broken below it. Very important for the bulls to actually reclaim this level. 89,000, very important because that is the neckline of this double bottom pattern. If we actually zoom out on the 3-day time frame, right? We've been talking about this over last week, over the rest of this week. Very important for the bulls to actually break above 89,000. If they are actually able to do it, the price target here is going to be about 104,000. Okay, that's how Bitcoin could break back above 100,000. Is if we actually break above this double bottom pattern, right? If the bulls are successful, that is the upside. And the next price target is going to be 104,000, which is an estimate, but it's still a very good idea to get an estimate, right? It could be more or less, right? Now, that is the upside of this. Downside, of course, if the bulls just don't have enough strength to actually push through, and we start, invalidating this double bottom pattern, right? Then, it could potentially come back down to about 76,000, right? And I've had a falling wedge pattern that is being estimated, right? Until we actually break above it, get candle closes above it, this could still be in play. That is the downside. And the downside of this could be still pretty steep, right? Because there isn't really that much support underneath the price action here. We could be looking at about, this middle point at about 80,000 and then about 75,000, that range. And then if that does not hold, then this bottom trend line here could be potentially, where price action could drop down to as support and see what happens, which is basically pretty in line with last year's consolidation range, the top of the consolidation range at about 70,000. Okay. Now we're going to take a look into altcoins and see what some ideas about altcoins are, right? Because altcoins are lagging behind Bitcoin. Everything depends on Bitcoin in the crypto world, right? And let's take a look into Ethereum, right? And take a look into the chart here. Daily time frame, we are still running within a falling wedge pattern, right? Since back in late January, okay? And this is what I'm seeing. It is still at the top trend line of this falling wedge pattern. If the price action can actually break out of this pattern, then I'm looking at a price target. Depending on when it breaks out, let's just say if it breaks out... Oh no, let's just say if it breaks out today. I mean, that's probably not going to happen. But if it breaks out today, we get a price target of 2,900. Okay, that is just textbook technical analysis. You can do your own price targets as well if you learn how to chart and just estimate a price target based on the chart. Okay, now that is basically what I'm seeing for Ethereum. Okay, on the monthly time frame for Ethereum, not looking great, right? Because it has basically set a lower low on the monthly chart, right? Since this low here back in October 2024. So the bottom pretty much fell out for Ethereum. Let's see if it can actually bounce back here and break out of that falling wedge pattern. Let's take a look into Total 3, which is basically altcoin market excluding Ethereum, where it does look a lot better because we actually see a higher low, right? Since the breakout back in, since a higher low since about August 2024, which was a pretty brutal low, right? If you guys remember, if you guys were here in 2024, that was a pretty brutal low, but we are still setting a higher low right now. We still have that higher high and higher low trajectory, right? So this chart here actually looks a lot better than Ethereum's, right? Because we still have that uptrend trajectory, okay? We have not gone down to touch the monthly 21 SMA. That could still be, we don't have to touch it, right? But we are at some pretty important support levels as well. including if you guys actually look at the chart here, we actually had a support level which has been the resistance back in May 2021, right? And the support level back in April 2024, which was a very good time, which it was a top, right? Back in 2024 March, right? It was a very good time for altcoins, but it was also the top before it actually went down like crazy. Okay, but we are actually retesting that top right now, and let's see if this will be a bullish retest. So let's go ahead and dive down into a lower time frame here and see what we're getting. 3-day time frame here, we can see a falling wedge pattern, right? Double bottom, still kind of a double bottom to me with bullish divergence. If the price action is actually able to break out of this falling wedge pattern, which is usually a bullish pattern, let's just say if it breaks out today, probably not going to happen, but let's just say if it does, then the price target is going to be about 100. It's about a 1.1 billion trillion, excuse me, 1.1 trillion, which could do quite a bit for the smaller altcoins, especially. Okay. Now, of course, if it doesn't break out by today, then we're going to move the price target down along this upper trend line. And, when it does break out, then the price target will adjust accordingly, right? That's basically what I'm seeing for Bitcoin, altcoins, Ethereum. Let's take a look into the stock market because there's high correlation between the S&P 500, namely, that I'm looking at, and Bitcoin. We're still holding that bounce on the weekly time frame since we have gone down to 4,800. Let's take a look into the daily time frame where this is pretty much a double bottom here on the daily time frame, right? Right, if you guys see it, it's a very small double bottom, which is still looking pretty good. That means we still have a higher low, right, on the daily time frame. 12-hour time frame, very clear double bottom here, right? I would still consider that as bullish divergence on the RSI, very close, but I still consider it as bullish divergence. And we're still holding a higher low here on the 12-hour time frame as well. So that's basically what I'm seeing. I think overall, right now, the markets look pretty good. That is just my opinion, not financial advice. It looks like we have hit some major support levels, and we could potentially have bottomed, okay? And I'm pretty excited to see what happens. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. Leave me any questions. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a beautiful day.